So in the previous verse, Lord Kapila had said, Bhayam Tivram Nivartate. Anyone who has taken to pure devotional service, anyone who has surrendered to the Supreme Lord, because He is Supreme, one can get out of this Tivram Bhayam this material world offers. It is said, Bhayam Dvitiya Abhivineshat Syat. Why there is fear in this material world? Why these different agents? They create fear in this material world. So the real reason is Dvitiya Abhivinesha. We have invested our thoughts, our consciousness in Dvitiya, in something else, which we are not. Dvitiya means secondary, not primary. Primary is the spirit soul. Instead of investing our consciousness in spirit, we have invested our consciousness in matter, which is Dvitiya. And that is the reason we are fearful in this material world. It's like Prabhupada gives the example. The example here is given about Vayu. Now, when there is a huge cyclone, it creates Bhaya. Prabhupada gives one example that in America, once there was a cyclone, and he saw people screaming and shouting out of fear, because it creates Bhaya. Isn't it? Imagine if there is a heavy cyclone here, what will be the condition? People will be very fearful. They will be just running around here and there, trying to save their life. Similarly, another example is given, is Surya. If there is excessive heat, it also creates a fearful situation, because we cannot exist in very excessive heat. Similarly, whether it is blazing fire or excessive heat or mrityu, which is definitely most feared aspect in this material world, where a person becomes completely fearful when he has to lose. So because he has invested his thoughts in this secondary body, which gets affected by all these different agents, the body gets affected by wind, by water, by heat, by death, and that is why he is fearful. But if we surrender to the Lord, He is feared even by fear personified. That is what the Lord said. Bhayam Tivram Nivartate. All these things are causes of fear, whether it is Vayu, whether it is Agni, whether it is excessive heat or Mrityu. So, they are also working under the direction of the Supreme Lord, being fearful of Him. They are all fearful of Him. So, they cannot create fear for devotees who are surrendered to the Lord. Correct. They can create fear for one who is not surrendered. But this material nature cannot create fearful situation for a devotee because he is surrendered to the Lord. And that is what the Lord is saying. Why the Lord is saying here this is because he is qualifying the statement he has made earlier, that because I am supreme, Tivram Bhayam Nivartate, I can award complete fearlessness to my devotees if they surrender unto me. And the Lord is saying, why? How do you think? Supremacy? Yes. It is because of my supremacy, because of my fear, this Vayu is blowing, the sun is shining, and Mrityu is taking its toll, death is taking its toll. Everything is happening because of my supremacy. So Prabhupada translates, it is because of my supremacy that the wind blows out of fear of me, the sun shines out of fear of me, and the Lord of the cloud Indra sends forth shower out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. So, all these are working under the direction of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that very clearly. Even though in the material world, the scientists are studying cause and effects, but they are unable to find the ultimate cause. That is their problem. They are satisfied with some immediate cause and they think they have discovered, but they are not able to discover the ultimate cause. Isn't it? They are not able to understand why the wind is blowing, why there is sun which is shining, isn't it? How there is fire which is burning, isn't it? How it is that the living entities are born and they die one day. They cannot understand. It's like Prabhupada gives an example. When they see the high tides in the ocean, so they will try to find out the cause. Oh, it is because of some, if the wind is blowing very heavily because of the moon and other things, and because of that there are tides will be more high. So the waves in the ocean will rise up very heavily. But why the wind is blowing? Sometimes it is very soothing, correct? This they are not able to understand. Sometimes it is very pleasing, nicely cold breeze is blowing, and sometimes it is very ghastly. On whose direction it is blowing like this? Sometimes soothing, sometimes very, very terrible. They cannot analyze, they cannot understand. Sometimes the sun is shining very pleasantly and sometimes there is scorching heat. They cannot understand. So, here the Supreme Lord is saying it is all because of me, it is working under my direction. Bhagavad Gita also the Lord says, Maya Adhyakshena. It is under my superintendence. Everything is working. Suyate sa chara charam. Chara, achara, everything is under my direction. Brahma Samhita also, a very nice example is given. Shrishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Rekha. This material nature has a power to create, no doubt. It has power to maintain. It has power to annihilate. It's all done by material nature. See, that's how they get bewildered. Nature has power, that there is no doubt about it. Nature can create, nature can annihilate, and nature can even sustain life. But how? Chhaye vayasya bhuvanani vibharti durga. This Maya, this material nature which has so much power to create, to maintain, to annihilate, is nothing but acting just like a shadow. Shadow has no independence. I move my hand, the shadow has to move. Shadow's movement are completely dependent on the original source. So Krishna is that original source, whose shadow is this material nature which has so much power, and it is acting out of fear of the Lord. Sometimes we don't understand what is this fear. Out of fear they have to act. Isn't it? Why the Vedic literatures are saying they are acting out of fear. See, the living entities who have devotional attitude, who have pious credit, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport today, the Supreme Lord requires so many agents, because this is not one planet. In one planet, here on earth, we require air, we require sunshine, we require moonshine, right? Everything we require. Like this, there are many other planets in this universe itself. And then there are millions and millions of planets. All of them require all these things to sustain life. So imagine what a huge government the Supreme Lord has. We have a small government, state government, central government, isn't it? Okay, we may think about universal government, but multiple universes. Who is governing all of them? So he requires definitely a lot of agents. So those pious living entities who surrender to the Supreme Lord, who understand the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, they are given that chance to work under Him as different agents like Vayu Devata, Chandra Devata, Indra Devata, Agni Devata. And all of them have to work under the direction of the Lord. Sometimes when they don't act according to the direction of the Lord, they are chastised. And that is why they are fearful. Why they are fearful? Because it is just like the master wants the work to be done in a certain way. And if the servant is not doing in a certain way, the master becomes angry and chastises the servant. Do it like this. Isn't it? So like this. So that is why they are fearful of the Lord. Prabhupada gives an example that sometimes they forget this. Sometimes they forget their position. That actually I am supposed to work under the direction of the Lord as the Lord desires. And when they try to act independently, the Supreme Lord sometimes chastises them. Just like it happened during the advent of the Supreme Lord personally as Krishna. So, Indra had become little puffed up because of the powers he has got for the rains. The rains are under his control. So, when Nanda Maharaj was performing Indra Yagna, so the Lord dissuaded him. He said, it is not required. Indra acts under the Supreme Lord. He has to act according to the desire of the Lord. And if the desire of the Lord is to give rain, He cannot stop it. So why you have to bribe Him? It is not required that you have to separately worship Him. Isn't it? So I have made certain laws. The Supreme Law has, the Lord has made natural laws. And according to that, if there is supposed to be rain, He has to give. He cannot withhold it. So then somehow Nanda Maharaj, first of all, he was not very happy. But then because of the affection of the Lord, he dissuaded, he did not continue. Rather, whatever the different items were there which he had made it ready for Indra Yagna, then he worshipped Govardhan hill. And then he became very furious, Indra became very furious. So, continuously for 7 days, Indra, because the rain department was given to him, so misutilized that department. Isn't it? See, that is how it happens. Some power was given, misutilized that power. So immediately Krishna penalized him, punished him. Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill, and Prabhupada says, Krishna showed to Indra, your power is not even equivalent to my little finger. Your power is not even equivalent to my little finger. With little finger the Lord lifted and saved the inhabitants of Vraja. So, this is the supremacy of the Lord. And that is why sometimes He chastises. Sometimes the foolish people, they also imagine, they also think that these Bhagavata devotees, these Vaishnavas, they all imagine some power of the Supreme Lord. They imagine. No. It is not some imagination. It is not just in Bhagavatam. It is not just Lord Kapila is saying in Bhagavatam. It is said in the Vedic literature. It is said in the Shrutis also. So Prabhupada is quoting from the Shruti. Prabhupada is saying, it is said in the Shruti, by fear of the Supreme Lord, the wind god and the sun god are acting. Bhishmad Agnis Chandras Chamrityu Dahati Agni, Indra and Mrityu are also acting under his directions. So these are the directions. This is what it is given even in the Vedic literature. There is a very beautiful chapter in Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, where the chapter itself is entitled The Supremacy of Krishna. How the Supreme Lord is completely above all the living entities. Just like Prabhupada is quoting that verse here, that yes, Indra is there, Chandra is there, Vayu is there. They are all departmental heads. They are not the CEO. They are just departmental heads. Above all of them, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Ekova. He is that one singular super excellent. All others are dependent on Him for their requirement, for their necessities. Everything is supplied by Him alone. So, if Indra is supplying something, it is because it is supplied by Ekova, Vidadhati Kaman. He is the one who supplies everything. You see. So, what happened? Once there were some Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis means they were all discussing about Brahman. They are called Brahmavadis because even though they discuss about the Supreme Lord or about Brahman, they have not reached the conclusion who is the Supreme. So there was a lot of discussion going on the bank of river Saraswati, and all of them were arguing, this is Supreme, that is Supreme. So then finally, to come to a conclusion, when they were not able to reach a conclusion, they all gave this task to Bhrugumuni, that yes, he is assigned the task to find out who is the Supreme. And specifically they chose 3 of them, because all others were definitely subordinate, but they had confusion about these three Murtis, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So the task was given that yes, anyone who can tolerate the most agitated situation, who remains steady even in the most agitated situation, one who has complete goodness, is to be understood to be supreme. So that was the criteria given, and Bhrigu Muni was to experiment on these different deities. So first Bhrigu Muni went to his own father Brahma, and son is supposed to pay respect to the father. Son is supposed to glorify his father. But Bhrigu Muni entered and he did not even pay any kind of respect to Brahma. Neither he glorified him. So Brahma was very agitated in his mind. But because of his intelligence, he was able to control his emotions, understanding he is my son. Mind is very angry already, but somehow or other he controlled out of his intelligence, and he did not say anything. So Bhagavatam says this was the offense created by Bhrigu Muni in his mind, which is not so great. Sometimes we think bad about somebody in our mind, it may be forgiven. That offense is not considered to be superlative degree. There are different degrees. It is not good, but at least that can be forgiven. So then he went from there. So he was able to see, Bhrigu Muni was able to see anger in his father's eyes. He was able to detect that. Second, he went to Kailash, and Lord Shiva is very happy. My brother has come, because both are son of Brahma. And Shivji got up from his seat, wanted to embrace. And Bhrigu Muni is saying, don't touch me, you are impure. Always surrounded by ghosts, always covered with ashes. You are very impure, don't even try to touch me. And Shiva was boiling with anger. His eyes became red hot. So, because of the passion, Brahma was very angry in his mind, and because of being influenced and being the master of ignorance, Shiva was very agitated. His eyes became molten red. Immediately he picked up his trident and he was just about to kill Bhrigu Muni. Then suddenly Parvati fell at his feet and said, don't do Brahma Hatya, forgive him. And it is just because of the sake of Parvati that Lord Shiva somehow spared him. But he was very angry. And then he was able to understand Bhrigu Muni. And then Bhrigu Muni went, and he went to Shweta Dvipa. He went to the abode of Lord Vishnu. So there he saw the Lord is resting on his flower bed, and Mother Lakshmi is massaging his feet. Suddenly, without any notice, he entered, and the Lord displayed that he has not seen Bhrigu Muni, and he was sitting there. And Bhrigu Muni came very angry, and he came before the Lord, lifted his leg, and he kicked on the chest of the Lord. So you can see Bhrigu Muni, in the beginning, for Brahma he created offense only in the mind. For Shiva he created offenses verbally, and superlative degree he created offense to Lord Vishnu by kicking his chest. Can you imagine? Actually, our feet are considered to be the lowest. Right? That is why we bow down our head, something which we consider to be very important. We never even sit before the Lord showing our legs. Correct? It is considered to be so offensive. Imagine what kind of offense. With our feet, we don't even point it to the Lord, and with the feet, if somebody is kicking on the chest of the Lord, what a horrible offense it is. Isn't it? So, this is the kind of offense Bhrigu Muni did for Lord Vishnu. So the Supreme Lord, immediately he got up from his seat and he said, "My dear Bhrigu Muni, I am so fortunate to have you here. Your lotus feet, the water which washes your lotus feet, it purifies even the place of the pilgrimage. And I am so fortunate to have you here. Your lotus feet, you are sanctifying Vaikuntha. All my associates will be purified." And then further the Lord says, "I am very sorry, you are like my father. I did not even see that you are coming, could not receive you very nicely. I have done a great offense for you. Kindly pardon me for that offense." And then the Lord said, He said, "My dear Bhrigu Muni, I feel that my chest has now become very sanctified. Mother Lakshmi does not stay very long at one place. And now I feel, because my chest has become so purified and sanctified, that even Mother Lakshmi would not like to leave me. She would always be at this chest." But actually the opposite is true. From that time, Mother Lakshmi is not very favorable to the Brahmanas. She is not very much disposed to the Brahmanas, and that's why we find Brahmanas are poverty stricken. It's a fact. Because Bhrigu Muni, being a Brahmana, he kicked on the chest of the Lord. So, the goddess of fortune is not very much disposed from that times to the Brahmanical order. So when Bhrigu Muni heard all these sweet words of the Lord, and how actually he was the one who committed offenses at the feet of the Lord, he was so choked up with the ecstasy of seeing the behavior of the Lord, could not even speak anything, just completely silent, and tears are gliding from his eyes, and so much in ecstasy in seeing the behavior of the Lord, and immediately departed from there. And he came back and he explained the whole event, whatever has happened, in front of those sages. And they came to the conclusion. They said that yes, one who can remain unagitated even in the most provoking situation, he is the Supreme. So they all finally came to the conclusion that yes, Krishna is the Supreme, Lord Vishnu is the Supreme. So actually we can see this is the super excellent power, super excellent behavior of the Supreme Lord. No one can excel in anything. No one can excel in. Either in his supremacy or in his love, no one can excel. So, this is what we can see here that it is the Supreme Lord is saying that one who surrenders unto me, the devotee should not be doubtful that Tivram Bhayam Nivartate, I will give him freedom from most fearful kind of fear, because I am the Supreme, and it is because of my supremacy that all these things are happening. Wind is blowing, sun is shining. The Lord is just convincing the devotee, do not take me to be some kind of ordinary object, that if I surrender to the Supreme Lord, how the Supreme Lord is saying that I will give you freedom from Tivram Bhayam. Devotee may be doubtful, so the Supreme Lord is convincing, don't be doubtful. It is all because of me that all these things are happening. So we'll stop with this Granthra, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.